Hey guys. Hi. Okay, so we are going to do Ozzy's birth story.
Technically, we have a video saying Ozzy's birth story, which is his birth story, but it wasn't really in depth of what happened.
Yeah, this wasn't. Oh, it's hard, and I just want to say, like, we're kind of dreading doing this video because it's traumatic. Like, it's hard to think about. It's hard to go through the motions mentally and just revisit all of those moments. But we're just going to get through this best we can. And I'm sorry if the story sucks because we're honestly just trying to get through it. But so Nikita spent most of her pregnancy pretty sick. Like, she had that hyperemesis gravidae. Is that
something like that?
If I'm
vomiting constantly.
Right. I might be pronouncing it wrong. And so one day, towards the end of her pregnancy, I think about
7 months.
7 months, I was going to work. I was at work one day and Liren had a doctor's appointment. So Nikita had the vehicle. She was taking Liren to her doctor's appointment. Fine, no big deal. And what happened?
Outside our apartment, we have like concrete steps down to the car park, and I was holding her hand, and I was huge, pregnant, like really huge, and I just lost my footing and fell, and I grabbed Liren, I grabbed my belly, and nothing hit the ground out of those two, and I just smashed my knee. Yeah, it hurt, and I cried a little bit, but I carried on.
She mentioned to me, like pretty immediately, like right after she got Liren, excuse me, right after she got Liren loaded into the van, she texted me when I was at work. She's like, oh my God, babe, I fell like pretty hard, but like I didn't hit my belly, like nothing like that, so I'm fine. And she had a really skint up knee, like pretty bad. Goes about her business, whatever. About a week later, we're in the kitchen and we're making dinner, and all of a sudden she hunches over screaming in pain, like absolute agony. And I think that pain lasted not super maybe 10 minutes, and then it started to dissipate and went away.
We thought maybe it was the baby shifting and putting his head down.
Yeah, we thought, oh well, maybe he moved head down and it pulled a ligament and it just hurt really bad, maybe it's like early labor, let's keep an eye on it. So we just, we kind of just moved on with our life. We didn't think a lot about it. And then when was it? About another week later, probably about a week later, we had a cleaning job that we were supposed to do. I think we were doing it after I had already done a shift at work that day because I hadn't been home all day. So I got off of work, I think around 2 p.m. And then we were supposed to go from there, get ready, go do this cleaning job, right?
But I just felt off. And I felt really off all day. Not hurting or anything. Yeah. I just felt off.
She just kept saying, I just don't feel right. I just don't feel right. And she couldn't put her finger on what felt off, none of that. So I went ahead and I went and did the cleaning job.
I took a nap.
I left her at home to lay down and nap. And I was texting her when I was done, and she's like, oh, I'm feeling a lot better. I'm feeling a lot better. She's like, come on home, we'll do dinner, whatever. So I get home, I go in the bedroom. She's still laying down, and we're talking for a little while, I think, and then you go to sit up to go make dinner.
Pain down the side of my belly. I was like, oh, that really hurts.
Like a shooting, stabbing pain. So we spent probably the next 3 hours Googling and researching, and this whole time the pain is getting increasingly worse. Like increasingly worse. We called your doctor and had left a message on the machine, but it was after hours, so they weren't calling us back. But like no signs really of labor other than this weird pain that wasn't even like around the baby where the baby was. You know what I mean? And you had a history of having issues with her gallbladder. So we thought that it was that. That was our mindset when all of this was happening, was her gallbladder.
And they already said they wouldn't operate until baby.
Her gallbladder's playing up again. We know if we go to the ER, they're not going to do anything. It's definitely the gallbladder. Same area of pain. And
I'll bitch about going to the hospital till the last minute anyway.
She will. Anyway, the night just kept... We just wanted to, like, eat our food and watch a show. I just wanted to
lay in bed. I had a certain snack, and I had craved it for, like, a long time.
Yeah.
chocolate pie. It was chocolate
It
pie.
was chocolate
I wanted
pie.
to get in bed, watch chocolate
Yeah.
pie, watch chocolate pie.
Watch chocolate pie.
Watch 90 Day Fiance, eat my chocolate pie, and just sleep. I was exhausted. I was very pregnant, very unwell.
Yeah. I personally, watching her as the night was
She was
progressing,
begging me to go to the hospital.
I was, by about 8 p.m., I'm like on my knees, you guys. I'm like, you have to go to the hospital. What are you doing? Like, we have to go now.
You can't even lay down.
You can't, she couldn't even lay down. She couldn't sit down. Like, I'm starting to panic a little bit. She won't do it. My wife is stubborn. She just told me, I will tell you.
I know my body.
She said, I know my body. I will tell you if it gets to that point. And I'm like, okay. At some point, I'm like, well, I have to go to sleep because I know we're going to the hospital. Like, I know we're going to the hospital. It's just a matter of when. I keep my shoes on. My shoes stay on my feet. I get in bed. I go to sleep. Like a very, very restless sleep because I can hear her.
I get up and go to the bathroom because I feel like I have to go to the bathroom. And I don't need to go to the bathroom. I'm just sitting on the toilet in so much pain. Can't cope, so I went back to the bed, tried to lay down, couldn't sit up, couldn't do anything. Back to the toilet, back to the bed, back to the toilet. And eventually I was like, babe.
About 10 p.m. I think it was about 10.
No, it was about 11:30.
11:30 p.m. She shakes me awake and says, babe, call 911 now.
I need an ambulance.
Now, call 911 now. And I knew you'd waited a little too long. A little too long. Anyway, I called 911.
I'm like, okay, she's in labor. Take her pants off. Get towels for the baby. We're like...
The 911 operator was grossly misunderstanding what I was trying to communicate was happening. And so she was just going through the birth and labor protocol in which...
We were 35 weeks at this point.
Yeah, in which you're supposed to go through to make sure that the baby's delivered safely, if and that is what's happening. That was not what was happening, and we knew that's not what was happening. Anyway, the ambulance gets here. It's a mess.
I have a whole lot of firemen around my bed. I was made to take my pants off, surround myself in towels, like I was with my legs, opening up like I'm pushing a baby out.
Yeah.
I've got firemen around my bed.
It was
a whole lot of
shocking.
ambulance people coming in. I'm like...
It was shocking to all of a sudden have a bunch of men surrounding your bed. Like, it's like, what is going on?
Ew.
I didn't mean it like that.
No, I know you didn't. My mind went there. I'm sorry.
Oh, good.
Okay.
So anyway, so how was the ambulance ride to the hospital?
So we have like judder bars. What do you guys call them?
Speed bumps.
Speed bumps. We have speed bumps all in our apartment complex. Of course, they had to drive the long way to get out. I screamed at that
When
driver.
I tell you she was in agony, from my perspective, so she's off in the ambulance. We have kids that night. We have Liren, Jack, and Narquise. I'm panicked.
It's midnight.
It's midnight. I have to get a hold of Asa somehow and tell him I have to bring you the children because I have to go to the hospital now.
We kind of warned him hours before.
We did, but I couldn't get him.
It's midnight.
To answer the
Everyone's
phone.
asleep.
Of course. Anyway, I run in Keys' room. I was so panicked. I didn't even say, hey, Keys, buddy, hey, wake up. I didn't even say anything to him. I just ripped off the covers and yoinked him out of bed and threw him over my shoulder. I threw him over my shoulder, dead asleep, and I'm running out of the house with him on my shoulder into the van. He's like, oi, Poor
So
guy.
sorry,
He probably thought he was being kidnapped. I got him in the van and I apologized profusely. I explained what was happening. And then I came back in and woke up Jack and Liren, and they just were like, they were very well behaved. They listened. They did exactly what I asked them to do. I got them over to Asa's, woke him up. I got them in bed. They all went to bed beautifully, thank God. And then I drove to the hospital.
Where I had probably been there 20 minutes. I had had blood tests the minute I got in there. I had people surrounding me, stressing, panicking.
The minute
checking if I was dilated. I was not. I was nowhere. Not even. No.
The minute her blood test came back and it said that her KB swab was positive, which means that her liver, like her baby's, the baby's blood, something
maternal blood and child blood is mixing.
Right, and it makes your liver enzymes all off balance and whatnot, which those were off as well. Anyway, that was positive, which in my mind, immediately I'm thinking placental abruption. Like, we're thinking placental abruption from the get-go. And
Abruption means the placenta that is giving the nutrients to the baby the whole pregnancy is like
tearing
off the wall of the uterus.
Yeah, it's ripping away from the uterine wall, and it's not compatible with
fatal.
life. In most instances of uterine rupture that is not caught in a timely manner, both mother and baby die. And that's horrifying. And somehow instinctually, like I'm knowing that's what's happening, and nobody's listening. They're like, oh no, the levels are very low. She's probably just in preterm labor.
I was just over the threshold to say yes, there was blood mixing.
Let me tell you, when I tell you, I have never, not in a movie, not in a TV show, I've never in my life seen anybody in such deep agony, like absolute, utter agony. I have no words. She was screaming for death.
They were telling me I'm in labor, and I'm thinking, wow, is this what people... I no wonder people can't cope with labor.
She was screaming, just kill me, just let me die, just save the baby, save the baby. She doesn't even remember any of this. I'm trying so hard through all of this to be strong and to like be there for her. Like, I don't think she was...
And my family.
And her family. I'm on the phone. I'm like trying to relay what's going on. And like nobody seemed to be understanding the seriousness of the situation. I'm not a doctor. I shouldn't.
Except one nurse, Ashley.
Except one nurse. There was one nurse after we had gotten moved. It was after probably the first 6 hours, I think.
I don't know times. That was fun.
We'd already been there about 6 hours, and they moved us to a more permanent room. And the nurse that we got in that room fought for my wife, advocated for her, did everything within her power to let the doctors know this is not labor. There is something going on. She had to sit beside Nikita and literally chase the monitor around her belly for hours because that's
to get 10 minutes worth of reading.
To get 10 minutes worth of reading because that's how much Ozzy was moving, and she just kept saying, that's too much. Like, that's...
My baby is active, but not like
She said, that's what she said. She said, babies are active. This seems like distress to me. And she had called in the doctor, and the doctor was like, oh, no, it's just an active baby.
Keep monitoring.
Just keep monitoring. It's fine.
His heart rate and everything's fine.
Anyway, this goes on with her being in this level of agony.
Being moved from room to room, labor and delivery to... What's the... Something...
Neonatal...
something. Anyway... Room to room to room.
A lot of rooms, guys.
Then started talking about maybe sending me home at some point.
They were going to send her home, and I'm like, oh, hell no, absolutely not. You're not sending her anywhere, honey. No. Anyway.
Have your phone for the monitor, please.
Anyway, we finally ended up in the last room we were in. The room they were talking about sending us home in, and they had a shift change for the doctors.
We finally got a little bit of sleep, didn't we?
A little, very, very little bit, maybe an hour, 2 hours. The new doctor came in the room, and she was saying, well, everything's looking good, yada, 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 but, you know, I'm concerned about a placental abruption because of X, Y, and Z, and so they sent an ultrasound tech in, and they didn't see anything, like on the ultrasound. But the doctor
probably wouldn't see anything.
The doctor herself said not 80% of placental abruptions you're not going to see on an ultrasound. Like, they're basically invisible and silent. So, given the symptoms that she had going on, Nikita and I both looked at her and we're like, can you just deliver him? Can we just take him now? Like, that's what we want. We want him delivered right now.
She said, absolutely.
She goes, absolutely. And
within 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Within 5 minutes, we were in the OR. And let me tell you, that doctor saved our son's life and saved her life. We didn't find out until after Ozzy was born how utterly serious that it was. Ozzy was born he had 50% blood loss. So anyway, Ozzy was born with, 50% blood loss.
His cord was wrapped around his neck very tightly twice.
Mm-hmm. He was severely anemic. He was unable to breathe on his own. Like, there was a lot going on.
I didn't even get to see him.
She didn't get to see him at all when he was born. Mm-hmm. They made me rush up to the NICU with him. It was just a rush of people, a rush of panic.
He was so pale.
He was so pale.
And floppy.
Um,
His cry was like this.
a doctor came and told me that it was serious, but they were going to do everything that they could. I needed to go down and be in recovery with my wife. I went down to recovery and she's not even in there. I'm waiting in recovery like an hour and a half, but nobody's explaining to me where my wife is.
Because my uterus was so messed up.
Yeah, nobody told me that. So I'm just sitting there panicked, and then, oh my gosh, it was just, and then he was in the NICU for quite a while. And we're just going from the hospital room up to the NICU. Our lives were at the hospital for 2 weeks.
It's bad. He was on a cooling mat, which means they basically put him in a hypothermic state to give his organs a chance to survive, to give his brain a chance to not swell. And he did suffer brain damage for the loss of blood.
But he recently saw a neurologist, and the neurologist said he's perfect and he's amazing. But she also said that had they not done what they did at the time of his birth, what happened to him would have been absolutely catastrophic.
Devastating.
It would have been absolutely devastating. His life and our lives would have been devastated. She said we would have had a kid on a feeding tube.
Should I get to the man of the hour?
Yeah, go grab him. Anyway, that's kind of the gist of it. We'll bring Ozzy and let him say hello.
Yeah.
There's little man.
And this is the man of the hour. Hey. Hey, go hey.
He's come so far.
He really has.
He really is a little miracle, you guys.
He's really not delayed like we thought he could be.
No.
About 2-ish weeks.
Yeah, a few weeks behind, like, physically, but he's doing good. He's doing so good. I know. Yeah. Anyway, we love you guys. I'll talk to y'all later.
Bye.
Bye, y'all. If you guys have any questions, just comment below. Love y'all.